Pharyngeal arches. The pharyngeal arches begin to develop early in the 4th week. Neural crest cells migrate from the developing hindbrain region to the primordium of the head and neck. The first and second arches develop lateral to the developing pharynx. By the end of the 4th week, 4 distinct arches can be seen. The first arch develops 2 prominences that will contribute to the formation of the jaws. The arches provide support for the lateral walls of the primordial pharynx. In cross-section, the 3 tissue layers of the arches can be seen. Ectoderm on the exterior surface, endoderm lining the inner surface of the arches, and mesoderm between the 2 tissue layers. 4 arches are clearly visible. The 5th arch is rudimentary, and the 6th arch is small. Next to the 4th arch is the laryngotracheal groove, which is the primordium of the respiratory system. Each arch is separated from its neighbor by a pharyngeal groove externally and a pharyngeal pouch internally. The grooves and pouches are numbered accordingly. Each arch contains rudimentary structures of cartilage, nerves, muscles, and arteries. By the end of the 4th week, 4 distinct pharyngeal pouches can be identified, each contributing to tissues and organs found in the neck. The dorsal portion of the 3rd pouch develops into the inferior parathyroid gland, and the ventral portion of the 3rd pouch forms the thymus gland. The dorsal portion of the 4th pouch develops into the superior parathyroid glands, and the ventral portion develops into the ultimobranchial body, which contributes the parafollicular cells to the developing thyroid gland. The 2nd pouch becomes almost entirely obliterated as the palatine tonsil develops. A portion of the 2nd pouch remains as the tonsillar fossa. The 1st pouch forms the tubotympanic recess, which contributes to the tympanic cavity and mastoid antrum. The membrane that separates the 1st arch pouch and groove contributes to the formation of the tympanic membrane. The thyroid gland develops from a small diverticulum that forms from the foramen cecum at the base of the tongue. This thyroid diverticulum elongates, and over time the growth of the embryo and expansion of the thyroid gland result in its relative repositioning to the inferior portion of the neck. A small thyroglossal duct, the remnant of the diverticulum, is obliterated over time. By 7 weeks, the thyroid gland has reached its final position. The elongation of the growing embryo, combined with further development of each of the pouch derivatives, result in the displacement of the various organs and tissues throughout the neck and chest, into their final resting position into adulthood. Simultaneously with the growth and differentiation of the pharyngeal pouches, the pharyngeal grooves also undergo significant changes. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grooves are overgrown by the developing 2nd arch. This causes the 3 grooves to become embedded in the cervical sinus, a slit-like depression in the neck. As the neck tissue continues to grow, the cervical sinus is slowly obliterated. The tongue develops from tissues in the 1st, 2nd, and 4th arches. A pair of lateral lingual swellings and a single median tongue bud form from the 1st arch. The copula is formed from the 2nd arch. The hypopharyngeal eminence is formed by tissue from the 3rd and 4th arches. The anterior or oral part of the tongue is formed by fusion of the lateral swellings, while the median tongue bud disintegrates. The hypobranchial eminence overgrows the copula and forms the posterior or pharyngeal part of the tongue.